ball knocked loose. White dive on it.
This is twice now the Celtics have been first to the floor. They try to
Save with Horford. Unbelievable.
Boston first to the floor. So good.
Brown fakes, fires up the three. Bang! Tatum dives on the floor. Everybody dives. Jaylen Brown with the flush. Blocked by Porzingis. He's doing it all. Tatum spinning, driving, layup. Washington drives. Blocked by White. Oh, what a block from Derek White.
All right, welcome into another episode of First to the Floor. Ben Vallis here. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. Alongside me, Wayne Spooney. Spooney, how's it going, man?
I'm doing great, Ben. Cole Anthony said, you've got to be ready to get touched. And after that third quarter, I know exactly what he means. So it was just an excellent, excellent game 5. I'm still riding the high. It just feels good to win a playoff series.
Touched by God? Touched by Red Auerbach? Posthumously? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Look, we did 2 shows after the game yesterday. So we're really just here to hang out, celebrate the fact that the Celtics are no longer playing the Orlando Magic. It's a bit of a farewell Orlando sentiment here. We don't know who our upcoming matchup is going to be, which is nice. But we'll get into all of that coming up. I thought we could start with just like pretty basic favorite memories, favorite moments from the series. I'm happy to kick us off here, Spoonie.
Please.
Jaylen Brown, I just think, I know we'll get to Tatum, and Tatum was sort of like overarching the most dominant, the best, the most purposeful, impactful player in this series, clearly. But Jaylen Brown, game 2, no Jayson Tatum, out with the wrist. We're thinking, fuck, okay, what does the series look like if we drop one at home? Jaylen Brown probably not going to be able to get up for this one, given the knee contusion and everything else going on. Fuck no, 36 points, 10 boards, 5 assists on a very efficient 12 of 19 shooting, 5 of 7 from 3. And we just got that glimpse of like finals MVP, Eastern Conference Finals MVP, dominant Jaylen Brown. And it was so surprising, and it punctuated the series for me looking back, Spoonie.
Yeah, we really needed it too. I mean, the on-off numbers don't lie when it comes to Jayson Tatum in the playoffs. Like, this team is a barely, okay when he's off the court, and they're, the reigning champs when he's on the court. So missing him for a game is obviously a huge problem, especially considering it didn't look pretty in game 1. I mean, we ended up kind of winning that game with a pretty decent margin, but I don't think any of us were super confident we'd be able to score easily against the Magic without Jayson Tatum. And Jaylen Brown was just full, I got this mode. Don't worry, boys. The shot looked pure, just controlling the game. I thought that was maybe his best defensive game too of the series. So it was just a great moment, and boy, did we need to see it from JB, considering been a really up and down season for him, mostly down. So it was just an awesome moment and important game, because, if we go back to the Orlando and game 3 plays out like it played out, we would have been down 2-1. And we wouldn't be sitting here gloating. We would be like, oh my God, I can't believe this is going to go 7,
I know. Thank God that it didn't. We're getting some Spoonie quiet comments in the chat.
Yeah,
so we got to.
I turned it up.
Okay, sweet. Chat, let us know how we're doing. Shout out to the live chat. Thanks everyone for joining us here. And later, video format pod now up on Spotify, every single show, including instant reactions and Celtics late night. So go and subscribe over there if you haven't already. So I kicked us off with Jaylen Brown. Game 2, Spoonie. What have you got? Any other standout memories or moments from the series?
I think I got to go with that third quarter in game 5, man. That is what I'll probably remember most, right?
Hell yeah.
I have a simple mind. I'm a simple-brained man. I'm
Likewise.
full of recency and confirmation bias. And, I hate to be right, Ben. Oh, man, it makes me sick when I'm right. But I said after game 4, I was like, it really feels like at the end of that game, we kind of figured out how to attack the Magic. And all through the first half, Tatum was just getting downhill, daring them to eventually send help. And finally, the dam broke. He was like the storm banging against the ship's hull in the ocean. And finally, the ship popped a leak. and they started to send help in that third quarter, and then boom, the Celtics are up 30. And I'm like, what just happened? This is one of the best moments of my life. So like that third quarter was just so dominant, and like after not looking like themselves offensively all series, and tons of credit to Orlando for that. That was the Celtics that we know and love. And it completely ended Orlando and closed out the series.
Yeah, the brute force I think was really cool to like the battering ram, if you will, to break down the fortress walls of the Orlando defense, force them to send help, and then it's like suddenly floodgates are open. Pritchard open threes, Hauser open threes, JB corner open threes. They're all start to go down, and it was like just a nice way of ending the series with like familiarity of like, okay, here's our guys again. They're through the fortress walls. Now they got swords out, unsheathed, and they're fighting the Magic Demons. Yes, defend the moat. Love to see it. Like segueing from that, JT's dominance, like games 3, 4, and 5, averaging across those 3 games, 36 points per game. Woo. 10.3 rebounds per game, a shade under 6 assists per game, 48, 45, and 100 splits. We're not going to talk about the free throw streak because we don't want to jinx anything. And 68.1% true shooting. Just a fucking beast. Highest scorer left in the playoffs. Spoonie, I think you've added this to our run sheet. That's pretty impressive.
I did, yeah. He's just Giannis. Well, I think technically Luka's ahead of him, but I don't think that's going to last very long. So once the Lakers are eliminated, he will be the highest scorer left in the NBA right now. And of guys with 30 or more usage in the playoffs, he's third in true shooting. So there's 9 of those guys.
Damn.
Giannis is like first with a bullet, which is pretty incredible considering he's essentially a one-man team. Mm-hmm. And then I can't remember who is second. Oh, it's Luka's second, just above Tatum, and then Tatum's right at 61% true shooting. And then it's a massive gap to 55% with Jaylen Brunson at 4. So those 3 guys have been like by far, bar none, not even close, the most efficient high volume guys in these playoffs. And you know who's played the best defense out of all of them? Jayson Tatum.
That guy?
So
yes.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good evidence he's having quite a good start to his playoff run.
For sure. Love that, JT. So, and like we did the whole title confidence thing, and man, if I had gone flippity flop on that shit over one game, just the pure dominance. And Jake and Greeny were talking about this. I was confusing my Americans in my mind again. Jake and Greeny were talking about this on Celtics Late Night yesterday, that Tatum's ability to like control a game, like a playoff game, no less, against an elite defense, much less control a playoff series. Like that is where like my confidence is just being ridiculously inflated right now. That like tell me which team is going to like completely mitigate his ability to like dictate so much of what the opposition does, just in terms of their rotations, who is a regular part of the rotation that suddenly like cannot be allowed on the court, just the way they play offense, defense. He has no weaknesses, and he like mind controls the opposition into playing a way that they are so uncomfortable playing. We really saw that, like you said, come out in the third quarter last night. So like obviously the Thunder present a litany of challenges between now and then. If we are lucky enough to make it that far to the finals, I just don't see any Eastern opposition taking Tatum out of his like superpowers there. So my confidence is rising against Foodie, which is great. Any other takeaways from this one? I've got one more like favorite memory before we maybe get to some takeaways overall, zooming out from the series.
I did like, I joked about the Cole Anthony, you've got to be ready to get touched. Well, you know who wasn't doing touching? Cole Anthony, because he played 46 minutes in the entire series.
He's touching pine.
You were touching a lot of wood. Oh man, a lot of pine wood, brother. And then I think we have each of us have a Pritchard one. So I'll just say, Game 1 was a tie game going into halftime. Peyton Pritchard had a hyper efficient 19 points. We ended up winning by I think 17. He was 4 of 6 from 3. And after like questions about whether Pritchard can be a playoff guy, comes out. He was great in game 2 as well. Comes out game 1, second best defense. Oh, this is a bad matchup for Pritchard. They're huge. Hangs a hyper efficient 19 on them, which I just thought was awesome. And the Garden just goes crazy when Pritchard's got it going too. And it was such a fun moment.
Yeah, man, 6th man of the year and 6th man of the playoffs so far. Maybe is through my lens, my very unbiased lens. But on Pritchard. So the defense, I talked about it yesterday in instant reactions. It's been a common theme conversationally throughout this series. But looked into some of the matchup data, and Paolo Banchero, when guarded by Peyton Pritchard, 3 of 12 from the floor, only 4 free throw attempts. So it's not like, you know, those field goal attempt numbers are skewed at all by him getting to the line a lot. Like, Pritchard got low, girthy base, kept him away from the bucket. When he did get shot attempts up, because he was so disruptive sort of under his base, think again that old school picture of Rondo like getting under LeBron James, just disrupted his shooting rhythm. And then similarly with Franz, less field goal attempts. So 1 of 3 from the floor when defended by Peyton Pritchard, 0 free throw attempts. Peyton like held up like at scale with enough sample size there to really attribute, you know, some solid defense to his disruption there to their 2 best players. And like, it's the complete antithesis of what we would have expected with Peyton Pritchard going in, that he would be targeted, that he would be attacked, and that he would see less playing time as a result of that. Instead, boosted playing time, boosted defensive numbers, mitigates the best 2 offensive options for the Magic there. Just incredible stuff. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I felt like Pritchard had one bad game, and it was game 3. He did not score in game 4, but I thought he was like really positive and good that entire game, and it was mostly down to his defense. He did the playbook of what like Dyson Daniels does to Jayson Tatum, where he just gets into him. He's almost like around their ankles, getting into their handle and just making every time you dribble, it's uncomfortable. Like, where is this little muskrat? Is he going to appear around me and take my pick the ball off of me? And I love that his pickup points were like super high. There was no time that if Pritchard got the Paulo or Franz matchup, he was just on them. Way up. You're 30 feet out. You can't shoot. I don't care. If you put the ball on the floor, I'm going to be around you, breathing down your neck, trying to get into your handle, trying to make things uncomfortable. And you're right, man. Like, his low base of gravity, he's strong. Like, Paulo could not move him when he tried to post him up. And like, so if you're bothering a guy's handle and you can't move him when you post up, basically the only thing you can do is shoot over him. And Paulo's going to make some of those shots, but he didn't really in this series. 3 of 12, like, that's incredible. I thought Pritchard was just so good on that end. And going in, I mean, I think the 3 of us talked about, like, I don't know if I trust Pritchard in this series.
For sure.
And I think that one of the main takeaways is that, like, he looked totally playable in what should have been a kind of not great matchup for him, which is very, very encouraging going forward.
Oh, yeah, and encouraging for a potential Knicks matchup as well, which we'll get into in greater detail once that matchup is confirmed going forward. But there's some scuttlebutt in the chat here about 20K subs. So the whole notion of 20K subs for Scal is that Brian Scalabrine, notably, we talk about this all the time, so apologies for repeating myself, but does not get out of bed for more than 20K subscribers. He won't come on your pod. He won't appear on your show unless you have 20,000 subscribers. So that's therefore always been the target for us, and we're essentially halfway there. So please subscribe. Hopefully that motivates you to twitch your finger and click that button and like the stream while you're at it. Just on the Magic still, Spoonie, do you come out of this with more respect or less respect for the Magic? And, like, you know, subsequently, are you afraid of them going forward?
I come out of this with more respect for the Magic insofar as how successful they will be in the future, and less respect for how they actually play. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
because
perfectly,
like
yes.
They were very Heat-esque in this series, where it's like, we're just going to foul the shit out of them, and they're not going to foul everybody on the team out of these games. And it worked. And you saw when Tony Brothers, of all people, started giving the Celtics an okay whistle finally, and we blew the game open and won by 40, essentially, right? Like, oh, we're not allowed to grab, push, pull, reach in nonstop, whack people on the way to the rim. Well, we can't stop these guys if they don't do that, if we can't do that. So it's just like, let's play some ethical hoops here, man. Like everybody grabs and pulls a little bit, but it got totally insane there. And the flagrant fouls, like the unnecessary flagrant fouls, was just ridiculous. That said, I was really impressed with Paulo and Franz.
Yeah.
They've got something with those two dudes. Like, and it feels like, oh, the Celtics with Tatum and Brown, like people were like, oh, they're kind of redundant. They've learned their lesson with Paulo and Franz where nobody's making that argument anymore. Everyone's like, 2 big wings. That's great. You should want that. Their problem is neither of them can shoot, where it's like Jaylen and Tatum especially have always been at least like, you got to guard them out there. But I think like if they make some decent, they got contracts they can trade too, like that KCP contract they can trade. They got assets to include. Goga's on a tradable contract. They have draft picks. So if they make the right trade, man, like they're going to jump like see a Milwaukee, which may not even exist next year. They might just collapse as a franchise this offseason. But, so more respect for their future, less respect for, how they play. Just, you know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Yeah, Suggs comes back, and then like they absolutely need to add some playmaking, some spacing around Paolo and Franz. But yeah, Franz's ability to finish around the rim under duress was insane and like frustrating, and like Chris Middleton levels of frustration, albeit from a different part of the court. Yeah. Just like, what are you doing? What wizardry is this? And it's appropriate, I guess, because they're the Magic, albeit not the Wizards. So who knows? Maybe that's a poor analogy. And then Paolo, I know a lot of people walked away with like Franz as, their favorite player, for lack of a better term, from this series. For me, it was Paolo, just his ability to create like playoff hoops, playoff buckets, and get into the mid-range, into the gaps of the defense. And that's just, you're going to feast in the mid-range in the playoffs just because of how defenses are structured in the postseason and his ability to get there. And also, he had a lot of he generated a lot of drive and kick opportunities as well. It kind of looked Tatum-esque. It reminded me of the fan mindset of watching Jayson Tatum put it together from that perspective and start to add like offensive creation to his game essentially. And I thought we saw Paolo do a fair bit of that as the series progressed as well, which was pretty impressive. So I feel like, Franz was maybe the more impressive individual walking away from this series, but Paolo seems to have this longevity skill set that I think will translate better to postseason achievement, victories, if you will, in the future. So very interested to see how he progresses there. Very interested in never seeing them again ever as they do progress and improve, because it was pretty difficult. So, but kudos to the Orlando Magic. We got out of the series healthy. We need to raise a banner for Kristaps Porzingis getting out of his first ever playoff series healthy as well. Yeah, he just did it. He did it. That's great. Jayson Tatum, we did it. All right. Anything else from the Magic before we say farewell forever, hopefully?
So I just have some post-series long-term playoff trends I want to just hit really. We don't have to spend a ton of time, but these are just things I'm going to continue to keep my eye on as we move through the playoffs. So the first one is one big man killed it against the Magic, destroyed them. So I've got the numbers here really quick. So KP by himself, plus 35.7 net rating in 38 minutes. So without Luke or without Horford. Horford without KP or Cornet, plus 49 net rating.
Whoa.
Horford and Cornet together, plus 17.5. And then any other combination was not better than plus 5. So the lone big of any combo with those three guys, Horford, Porzingis, Cornet, the two best by far were either Porzingis by himself or Horford by himself. And that's without Drew Holiday. You tend to think Drew kind of makes those lineups go because he can guard up. And it didn't matter. And that's against a big physical Magic team that playing small was the way to go. And it's because it massively juiced the offense. And we really needed the offense in this series.
Yeah, I remember that being notable in even game one, where we were sort of in the mud, the term that has been popularized, playing the Magic. And then Peyton Pritchard came in and, like we said, held up defensively, but just his pace, his ability to penetrate and kind of collapse the defense and just generate shots. And I know that didn't play out in each individual game throughout the series, but just the smallness and the quickness and the ability to to get in there and create shots, I think was really important. So yeah, double big has been like so good and solid for us throughout the regular season. So, I guess credit to Joe Mazzulla a little bit to like quickly finding a strategy that helped nullify what the Magic were throwing at us. And then Al Horford, like, did you say that he was the best of the three bigs who were going solo?
Of course, yeah. He's 15 points per 100 better than the second best combination. Like 49 net rating by himself.
Maybe when he's 50, we'll start to see a drop off there for Horford. It's crazy. What else you got?
So I think it's kind of hard to do this in a playoff series, but Pritchard and Hauser need to be chained to Jayson Tatum, right? So without Tatum, hold on, let me find it. Without Tatum, Pritchard's net rating plus 2.4. When he and Tatum share the court, 60 minutes plus 44.2 net rating. So absolutely absurd. When Hauser's on the court without Tatum, minus 11. When it's Tatum and Hauser, plus 52 net rating. So like those two, Pritchard's like maybe slight positive without Tatum. Hauser was a massive negative without Tatum. When both of them are with Tatum, their net ratings exceed Tatum with the starters. So like bench heavy Tatum lineups when we go to the bench, and then I think Tatum, we're seeing Tatum play like the whole first quarter. I wonder if we go back to the Tatum out at 6 minutes, bring in one bench guy, whether it's Al or Luke, and then in that second quarter, you have Tatum, Pritchard, Hauser, and let Tatum run the bench units, because those three guys together murdered the Magic.
We're being called Tatum merchants in the chat. Very true. I've never disputed that fact. I was born a Tatum merchant, even though I was born a solid 10 years before him. That was always a winning formula for us. And I'm kind of surprised that we've ever gone away from that, which is like Tatum and the bench, like coming back in to start the second quarter. And, the chemistry has been built over multiple years now with those like specific bench players, Pritchard and Hauser. The spacing that they give him just in terms of pulling the defenders away from the paint and allowing him, downhill opportunities, but then the obvious drive and kick out opportunities and their ability to, shoot against closing out defenders accurately is just too good to pass up. So, I'd love to see more of that going forward. Yeah.
Yeah, man, like it just works so well when you put Tatum around elite shooters. So like JB can shoot, but you can kind of, sag off JB a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Same with Horford. His release isn't super fast, so you can give him a little more space. But when it's like Pritchard and Hauser, there's just so much space for him to operate, and they like don't miss when they're wide open. So it's just unguardable. One quick one. We don't have to spend much time against this, but like. Hauser on big ball handlers. So I thought he was atrocious on Paulo until the last two games. Then I thought he did a lot better. The numbers are not horrible. Paulo shot 4 of 7 against him, which is okay. I mean, it's like better than he shot against, a lot of our other players, but it's not like, oh man, this guy's Cole Anthony, So keep an eye on that one. And then you said it at the top, Ben. Small guards and slow-footed bigs cannot play against us. And a lot of teams have those guys as very important players on their team.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, like Cleveland. When Batase, he only played 10 minutes. Their defense was 24.4 points per 100. Worse with him on the court. So their defense completely collapsed when Goga was out there. And Cole Anthony, the Magic were an minus 11 with him off the court, and they were a minus 25 with him on the court. So Cole Anthony was a complete disaster, and he did a lot of talking, and I'm going to continue to make fun of him as we go through. Yeah, so there's the last two.
Yeah, I mean, Cole Anthony's earned the all the shade coming his way, as have all Magic fans. This is just how it goes. Like, you lose in the playoffs, talk shit and get hit, as they say.
Yeah.
And yeah, small guards and traditional bigs. I'm just thinking ahead to all of our potential matchups, and there's a litany of players that fit those archetypes upcoming, at least as we progress through the East here. Love to see that. Bodes very well. The round 2 schedule has come out, and some exciting news. I've talked about this all season, how like my biggest change as a Celtics fan from last year to this year is how much I appreciate the rest. I used to be like, oh my God, an off day. What am I going to do? No Celtics. I miss our guys. Now they get like 2 consecutive days off. And I'm like, this is spicy. Think of the recovery opportunities for these guys. And now we've got basically a week off. Obviously the series ended on, we're a day ahead here in Australia, but I want to say the 30th of April, the series ended, or the 29th of April. Now we've got game 1 of the next series on the 5th of May. So close to a week off there for our guys. Obviously, Drew Holiday, who was reported as by Joe Mazzulla day-to-day yesterday, that bodes well for him. Whatever the fuck's going on with Jaylen Brown, we still don't really know. Some sort of knee contusion. I would imagine the extra time off bodes well also. So just to have that period of time between the end of the Magic series and the start of either Pistons or Knicks, really good. I don't know if you have any takes on the schedule or anything, Spoony. Schedule takes?
It's funny you say that because I've been feeling kind of the same way. We talked before we went live that both of our jobs have been extremely demanding recently. So just from a keeping my sanity, sometimes it's nice to not do something in the evening. And obviously I love watching the Celtics play, but sometimes it's I'm just going to lie in bed after my kid goes to sleep. So, and then we need Drew is old. Al could use the rest. Tatum's wrist could use the rest. Literally everyone on this team is banged up. So the more rest, the better. So that's why you close it out in 5 and you don't do what the Knicks did and you've got to play an extra game. And what if you lose that one? And all of a sudden, you're going to get 1, maybe 2 days off and play against a Celtics team that's been lying in wait. Title of the episode.
Hey,
lying in wait for a full week, ready to go at Cat 75 times as he stumbles and flips around and has no idea where the ball is as we dunk it.
Yeah, the personal time aspect is crazy underrated. You're right. We were just talking before we went live about how busy we've both been. We've got to end this pod soon. It's going to be a shorter pod because I've got a meeting coming up. It's the middle of the day here as we live stream. But and shout out to Jake Eisenberg is where I wanted to get to, who is kind of been Tatuming our show lately because we've both been pretty busy in our personal lives. And today is getting ankle surgery, arthroscopic ankle surgery, so that he can come back, be an even bigger bowler, get back out on the court soon, and get healthy. So shout out to our guy Jake, who I guess will be day to day in the coming days while he recovers. We might get a Jake OxyContin episode coming up as well. So make sure you subscribe. Yeah, absolutely. Subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of that. We'll wrap up with this. Knicks or Pistons? Not sure what's going to happen there. Going back to Detroit, and the Knicks have been pretty lucky to get away with some of these wins. It hasn't exactly been decisive. Do you have a preference as far as who we might face in the next round?
Okay, I'm gonna this is a crappy way to answer this question. I'm sorry, Ben. This is the worst way to answer a question, but not really. just because I think we will probably mop both these teams up in 5. I will say, no, that's not true. I would rather play the Pistons. I just don't think the Pistons could score, and they don't quite have the sort of huge wing defenders in the same way the Magic do. They're Asar, he is not a two-way guy, right? He's much closer to Anthony Black than he is to Paulo and Franz. Ron Holland, not a two-way guy. Their offense outside of Cade is just complete and utter trash. So I just don't think they could score against us at all. And I do think we could attack them better than we attacked Orlando. The Pistons were the 15th best defense. They're not a good defensive team. It's crazy the Knicks are having this much trouble scoring against them. Mm-hmm. You can go at Cade too. Duran looks pretty wonky in his pick and roll coverages. He's trying to play drop, doesn't know where to go. He can't switch on to Brunson. Although I think he's been impacting the game just with pure athleticism and offensive rebounding. So I just think the Pistons are less dangerous. I don't think they can score with us in the same way the Knicks can. The Knicks have the capability of just getting hot, going 20 for 50 from 3. And it's man, we're shooting 42% from 3. We've made 18 of them. How is this a tie game? We should be way up. So I think Pistons I would rather play.
Yeah, I think that's man. I think I'm in the same boat as you. I don't really care, and there's pros and cons to both sides. With the Pistons, my main con is I have opponent physicality fatigue a little bit. And I think that the Knicks are maybe the softer of the two teams.
100%.
And then in favor of the Knicks as a matchup as well, it's like maybe it's better the devil you know. And like we have a repeated formula and like sample size and body of work for dominating the Knicks. And like, why would that suddenly change? And we don't celebrate injuries at all, but like Jaylen Brunson does have an ankle thing, I believe. And in the playoffs, we're sort of like wolves hunting the injured runt of the pack that we're pursuing through the night. And if someone's injured there, then like we want all the advantages that we can take on. So maybe that is a tip in favor of the Knicks as well. But ultimately, I don't think it matters. Tobias Harris plays for one of these teams. Maybe that's an argument. You want to play the Tobias Harris team at all times. Beef Stew would be back, says Adam in the chat here as well, which is a good call out. But again, I don't think it's enough to sort of like turn the tides in favor of the Pistons as well. So sounds like the overarching takeaway is it doesn't really matter. We're pretty confident that we can go against either of these teams. Is it fair to say that even like with the Knicks reputationally being more of a physical team, like that we're not going to see the same sort of elite defense and physicality that we saw with the Magic against either of these two teams?
Yeah, I think it's totally fair to say. I mean, like, you know, I'm critical of the way the Magic played defense in some ways, just because I thought a lot of it was like unnecessary bullshit. But like, they were the number 2 defense pretty easily this season. Detroit's 11th. I just looked it up. The Knicks were 12th. Like, even if they try to play physically, like, please try to be physical like that, Karl Anthony Towns. Like, you will play 6 minutes because you will be fouling nonstop. Like, there's just kind of a DNA to some teams to play that way. It was like the Heat, Jimmy Butler Heat. Like, they just knew how to get away with it. Draymond and the Warriors are a little bit like this. This Rockets team is like that as well. The Knicks just don't have that DNA. Like, OG kind of does, but to me, he's really the only one. Like, can you imagine, like, Karl Anthony Towns trying to be an enforcer on the defensive end? Like, it's like impossible. Like, it's like if Ben Simmons made a jump shot. Like, these things just don't happen.
That's right.
So, yeah, I think the Pistons definitely have more of that kind of DNA. But, man, you know what? I'm glad we don't have to play the Pacers.
Yeah. Yeah, thank God. Well, yeah, so just maybe we can end on that. So Cavs Pacers coming up, I believe, the day before Celtics, whoever. And I think the bookies are favoring the Cavs quite significantly. And like, considering everything the Cavs have done all season, like, you can understand that. I was listening to Bill Simmons last night. I'm with Billy Boy. Like, I'm pretty high on the Pacers. Like, I know Jake is very much team Cavs. I feel like the Pacers are going to make it a long series.
Dude, I remember what they did to us last year. They felt totally and utterly unstoppable in a way I've not really felt like that since Udoka was our coach. Like, once Ime got this team playing defense in the second half of that season in 2022, it always feels like, yeah, sometimes there's a guy who's hot or like one dude we can't match up with against. It was their whole team. Like, Nemhard's raining middies, McConnell's raining middies, Neesmith's hitting a wide open jump shot. How many fadeaway 18-footers did Pascal Siakam make in the clutch series? Yeah, dude. Like, I'm with you. I do think the Cavs will win, but I do think it's going at least 6. Like, they're hard to guard. They are really hard to guard. And if the Cavs shooting like fails them, it happened to us against Miami in 2023. Like, that's all it takes. And all of a sudden, like, you're in a very long series that you might lose.
Well, let's hope that's the case. And meanwhile, we wrap ours up in 4 or 5 again and get the same, excitable rest. We talked about being excited about the rest, so potentially some excitement in our near future, Spoonie. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back with a full series preview pod once we know the matchup. Like we said, Spoonie, are you throwing something up on our Patreon today or tomorrow?
Yeah, so I think I'm going to go live at lunchtime. I did that a couple weeks ago.
Nice.
So if people want to join during lunchtime, I'm going to try and pull a couple plays of just like, here's how the Celtics attack this Magic defense that I think are ways we can attack worse defenses and get even better results. So I've got a couple clipped. I want to try. So like sort of a half-assed underrated plays.
Yeah, absolutely. A worthwhile Spoonie clip show, a classic, and worth the price of admission there. The links to the Patreon and everything else that we're attached to is available in the description below. Jake Eisenberg, best of luck with the ankle surgery. We'll catch you very soon, mate. Spoonie, love your work. Until next time, go Celts.